Department of Defense is reviewing decisions to integrate jobs currently closed to women.
And with opportunities come challenges. Challenges that Sisters in Arms participants are more than willing to discuss.
As a female, you're going to face a lot of challenges. And sometimes it's okay just to be able to go and talk to another female about those challenges, and there's no repercussions. It's just open, honest feedback.
Sisters in Arms organizers will host the forum quarterly on base. Senior Airman Tori Patterson, Fort Eustis, Virginia.
While a variety of aircraft dazzle the crowd from the sky, the main attractions at this air show are on the ground. Two of the United States Air Force's most versatile aircraft have hundreds of people lining up to get a peek.
We are the largest show in town.
It's your parachute.
A lot of people looking at it and asking, oh, this is an awesome static display. How did you get it here? Not realizing that it can take off.
The aircraft is really great.
This C-17 Globemaster is flown by the New York Air National Guard, which for over 11 years has had a working relationship with South Africa through the State Partnership Program.
We're committed to strengthen our relationship with the South African Defense Force. I think secure Africa is not only good for us, but good for the global community. And I think South Africa is a very integral part of that relationship and the future of securing Africa as a whole.
Also making the long journey here is a C-130J from Ramstein Air Base, Germany. The C-17 might be bigger than the C-130, but it's drawing just as big of a crowd.
Well, the C-17 does dwarf us, but I mean, it's our mission that's really special with this plane. It's very versatile and it's ready for anything.
It's nice today.
It's really nice just to interact with the people and just meet the whole new culture. A lot of people haven't seen these planes at all, and just to let them know, you know, these planes exist, and it's good.
Pretty interesting how we take for granted what we do. A lot of people are very intrigued by the airplane, just intrigued by flying in general. So it's good to kind of show the flexibility and the total force of the United States military.
While the aircraft on display do their part, the soldiers and airmen wearing the uniform are drawing plenty of attention as well. A total force team of more than 100 is here to build our partnership by interacting with the crowd, answering questions, smiling for the camera, and moving their feet. Tech Sergeant Bert Trainer, Waterkloof Air Force Base, South Africa.
The United States Ceremonial Brass performed for their 14th time on The Today Show in New York City, and I was lucky enough to see it all firsthand. The brass helped celebrate our nation's birthday by premiering a brand new arrangement of This Is My Country that they will be performing in the Macy's Day Parade later this year.
I came in on Saturday to see another wind ensemble, and I had to hang around to see my favorite band.
And that is?
The United States Air Force Band, concert band, singing sergeants, airmen and note, and ceremonial brass, and Max Impact.
Well, that's more than one. But what did he think of the performance?
Too short. I want to hear more music. But the band is sounding terrific under the new commander.
So even through the rain and the heat...
Above 100 degrees. Is it ever too hot to play your instruments? No, never too hot, he says. Of course not. He's tough. Here in Chicago.
The band gave a flawless performance, demonstrating the Air Force's precision and excellence through their music. Reporting from New York City, I'm Airman First Class Natasha Yarbrough.
Ladies and gentlemen, General Schwartz.
Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, certainly thank you all for being here this morning and joining us in this hallowed place, the Hall of Heroes. And while Barry Crawford will not go up on the wall in this room, he certainly is among that elite group of no kidding heroes. It's a special event because we're going to present the Air Force Cross and the Purple Heart today. Wayne, how are you? It's good to see you. And first of all, welcome to Mr. Blanchard, Mr. Ginsburg, and Mr. Yonkers. Thank you for joining us today. Again, to our flag officer representatives. Importantly, the Adjutant General of the great state of Maryland is here, Major General Jim Adkins. Thank you for being here as well. And I believe Robert Gutierrez is here. Bob? Ah, there you are. It's great to have you here as well, on that side of the audience this time. It's especially heartening to see so many family members here today as well. Certainly Barry's wife and their children. It's okay. Mary, it's okay. No sweat. Alexander and Nathaniel, and you are welcome to be a part of this ceremony in any way you like. As well as Barry's parents, Barry Sr., his mother, Karen, and of course his grandma, Agnes. Great to have you and all the other family members that join us as well. And it's important, of course, and we're grateful to you for allowing us to share in this very, very momentous occasion. And we are also grateful to have members of the Air Commando family joining us today, and also some from the Special Operations community, too. And in particular, as I mentioned, Staff Sergeant Bob Gutierrez, to whom I had the privilege of awarding the Air Force Cross on October 27th of last year at Hurlburt Field, Florida. And this is indicative, I think, of how the Air Commandos and this particular Special Operations community stick together and how they support one another. And together they uphold the very proud warrior heritage, including what marks today as a very special day, as I indicated, the presentation of the second highest Air Force award for valor to a very, very deserving airman. For those who perhaps are not as familiar with this potentially hazardous line of work, undertaken by those among us who are perhaps the grittiest, the most determined, and maybe the most industrious of all airmen. Allow me to say a few words, please, about our Air Commandos. Special tactics officers like Barry, as well as combat rescue officers and combat controllers and pararescuemen and tactical air control party personnel, combat weathermen, are highly trained and highly skilled operators. And they are highly valued team members of our nation's elite special operations community. And often a tremendous risk to their own well-being. They're dedicated to serving their joint and coalition teammates by providing unique air and space power expertise in a predominantly land combat environment. And this usually involves assault zones and airfields while simultaneously conducting a number of other important activities. For example, air traffic control, fire support, certainly command and control, and special reconnaissance, among others. And their unique contribution, the unique contribution, is leveraging the capabilities of the larger Air Force and air power's inherent characteristics of unparalleled speed and tailorability and precision to the advantage of our friendly ground and special operations forces. And they provide these unique air power effects under the most demanding and the most hazardous conditions imaginable. And so, as you listen to the citation this morning, you will immediately grasp Captain Crawford's valor and his heroic actions through a 10-hour firefight and a numerically superior, well-trained, and resolute enemy. And amidst withering gunfire that too often grazed him within inches, Captain Crawford repeatedly and conspicuously disregarded his own safety to assist his United States and Afghan teammates, coordinating, directing, and integrating the actions of more than 30 aircraft, providing 40 danger close strafing runs and airstrikes with Hellfires and 500 and 2,000-pound bombs. He expertly employed air power from both fixed and rotary wing aircraft to turn the tide, ladies and gentlemen, sort of like Mary, you're doing there, to turn the tide against and neutralize a determined enemy. And through directing medical evacuation helicopters into hot landing zones in harrowing brownout conditions, he facilitated the evacuation of the wounded, bringing Americans and others home. Another of our important callings in all of the armed services. All told, Captain Crawford, often in vulnerable fighting positions and consistently exposed to enemy fire, enabled his ground force teammates to escape the hazardous area amidst circumstances that, given the skill and the aggressiveness of this enemy, could easily have resulted in heavy perspective. One of the best friends that a ground force teammate could ever hope to have. We wish the very best to him, certainly to Mary, who is a hero in her own right, by the way, to Alexander and to Nathaniel. Again, ladies and gentlemen, without family, much, if not most, of what airmen can accomplish for the nation would not be possible. It wouldn't. And at the same time, family members often sacrifice many of their own aspirations. They also bring profound personal meaning, as it does in this family, to the remarkable service of their loved ones. And for that, we are extremely grateful to Barry's immediate family that are here today for their quiet but nonetheless significant sacrifice and contributions that enabled this young man to serve in the magnificent fashion he has. And so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. Now let us not delay any further the reading of the citation for the Air Force Cross and the Purple Heart. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as General Schwartz presents the Air Force Cross to Captain Crawford. Attention to orders. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Title 10, Section 8742 United States Code, awards the Air Force Cross to Captain Barry F. Crawford, Jr. for extraordinary heroism in military operations against an armed enemy of the United States as Special Tactics Officer near Lagman Province, Afghanistan on 4 May 2010. On that date, while attached to Army Special Forces Operational Detachment Alpha and their Afghan partner force, Captain Crawford conducted a helicopter assault into Hendor Village. Upon landing, Captain Crawford received reports that multiple groups of armed enemy were maneuvering into prepared fighting positions in the high ground around the village. As the assault force initiated clearance operations, they began to receive a high volume of accurate machine gun and sniper fire from an enemy force of well over 100 fighters. As the assault force was attacked, Captain Crawford took decisive action to save the lives of 3 wounded Afghan soldiers and evacuate 2 Afghan soldiers killed in action. Recognizing the wounded Afghan soldiers would die without evacuation to definitive care, Captain Crawford took decisive action and ran out into the open in an effort to guide the helicopter to the landing zone. Once the pilot had eyes on his position, Captain Crawford remained exposed, despite having one of his radio antennas shot off mere inches from his face while he vectored in the aircraft. Acting without hesitation, Captain Crawford then bounded across open terrain, engaged enemy positions with his assault rifle, and called in AH-64 strafe attacks to defeat the ambush, allowing the aid and litter teams to move toward the casualties. While the casualties were being moved, the team's exposed position once again came under attack from 2 enemy trucks that had moved into the area and were threatening the medical evacuation landing zone. As one of the aid and litter teams was pinned down by enemy fire and the medical evacuation helicopter took direct hits from small arms fire, it departed with only 4 casualties, leaving 1 wounded Afghan soldier on the ground. Captain Crawford developed, coordinated, and executed a plan to suppress the enemy, enabling the helicopter to return to the hot landing zone to retrieve the last casualty. While Captain Crawford's element exfiltrated the village, the assault force conducted a 2-kilometer movement over steep terrain with little to no cover. During this movement, the ground force commander and Captain Crawford's element were ambushed and pinned down in the open from multiple enemy fighting positions, some as close as 150 meters away. Without regard for his own life, Captain Crawford moved alone across open terrain in the kill zone to locate and engage enemy positions with his assault rifle while directing AH-64 30mm strafe attacks. Continuing to move the team further over 1.5 kilometers of steep terrain with minimal cover, Captain Crawford again engaged the enemy with his assault rifle while integrating AH-64s and F-15Es in a coordinated air-to-ground attack plan that included strafing runs along with 500 and 2,000-pound bomb and Hellfire missile strikes. Throughout the course of the 10-hour firefight, Captain Crawford braved effective enemy fire and consciously placed himself at grave risk on 4 occasions while controlling over 33 aircraft and more than 40 airstrikes on a well-trained and well-prepared enemy force. His selfless actions and expert air power employment neutralized a numerically superior enemy force and enabled friendly elements to exfiltrate the area without massive casualties. Through his extraordinary heroism, superb airmanship, and aggressiveness in the face of the enemy, Captain Crawford has reflected the highest credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as General Schwartz presents the Purple Heart to Captain Crawford. Attention to orders. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by order of General George Washington, August 7, 1782, has awarded the Purple Heart to Captain Barry F. Crawford for wounds received in action on 17 June 2010. Captain Crawford was injured by shrapnel from enemy small arms fire that penetrated the floor of his helicopter while flying over eastern Afghanistan. The selfless devotion to duty displayed by Captain Crawford reflects great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Crawford.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm deeply honored, extremely humbled by this entire experience, by just the magnitude of the award, but more importantly, by everyone coming out to support me. First and foremost, sir, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to personally present this award to me. It means a lot to myself, Mary Karen, and my entire family. Same goes for distinguished visitors and guests. To you, Mary Karen, thank you so much for supporting me throughout the years, last-minute TDYs, multiple combat deployments, and just providing me 2 beautiful man cubs. To my family, providing love and support through the years, the dedication, motivation, the never quit attitude, I credit you guys with, and it definitely came through that day, so thank you very much. To AFSOC, to Special Tactics, to my fellow combat controllers, pararescuemen, you guys truly are the change makers in the battlefield. Your influence deters so much by you just being out there, so I always have a special place in my heart for you guys, and I look forward to working with you and alongside with you in the future. To the pipe hitters of 3-6, please stand up. I know that makes you uncomfortable, but you have to match me with feeling uncomfortable. But from the first day, I joined you guys down in the Hellman 2 years ago. You accepted me, and I wasn't just that Air Force guy or that attachment, that just direct support. You considered me a teammate. We forged our friendship in battle and conflict. We sealed our forever friendship in blood, multiple combat missions and firefights. This award is an individual award, but I consider it much more than that. It's our award. I mean, everyone that day, you guys right there, the rest of the team that's not here right now, it's downrange, taking the fight to the enemy. Everyone was valiant. Everyone was heroic. And honestly, thank you very much for being my true friends, my brothers. So thank you again for everyone coming, and God bless.
Please sit down for just a sec. It just occurred to me, and I think Wayne Norad would confirm this, that the fact that the A-Team, or a significant portion of your A-Team, is here to share this honor with you would not have happened 30 years ago or 20 years ago. This is what has changed. And this is why we're in so much better hands than was the case long ago. So yes, this is what it's all about, y'all. Teamwork, teammates, affection for one another, no matter who wears what uniform, in performance. Hats off to you. Thank you.
Frequent relocation can be a challenging aspect of growing up in a military family. Navy Petty Officer Michael Sanchez shows us how a base in Japan called up some familiar friends to help military children cope with the struggles of moving.
The audience filled the lobby of Sasebo's Fleet Fitness Complex in anticipation of the Sesame Street USO experience. The show included many familiar characters from the long-running children's TV program.
My favorite character is Elmo. He says hi to everyone.
The show introduced Katie, the child of a service member who's moving from Sesame Street to a new home as one of her parents is PCSing to a new command.
I think it's a great opportunity for families to have something to talk to their kids about, a way to have that conversation when it does come time for them moving. As most families know that are in the military, moving is a pretty regular part of a lot of their lives. So being able to start that conversation when they're young and helping your kids cope with some of the stresses that go and have a way to talk about their feelings is really important. And this is presenting a character that they can identify with and relate with and start those conversations.
My favorite part was when Elmo danced.
While many of the kids were energized by the song and dance show, everyone in attendance left more prepared to address a difficult aspect of life in a military family. Petty Officer Michael Sanchez, Fleet Activities Sasebo, Japan.
What is the oldest continuously operating Army post in the United States? The answer is B, West Point. Wounded warriors from across the Air Force came together recently for a week-long event featuring rehabilitative sports, career readiness, and caregiver training. Air Force Senior Airman Valerie Lloyd met up with one wounded warrior with a passion for archery and brings us this story.
Archery is one of my most rekindled passions of my life. I went to pilot training at Laughlin Air Force Base, and I had the blast. Yeah. Unfortunately, after a couple of months, I got very sick, and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. My care manager informed me and my family we should look into the Air Force Wounded Warrior Program. And I said, why not? Follow the arrow. And when we got the program, they introduced me to mouth tab shooting. It just rekindled so much just real spiritual, positive experience for myself. Bullseye, baby. The biggest challenge is all in the brain. Obviously, the strokes cause a couple brain injuries, but it's all in the brain, the mentality. You have to go through the 5 stages of grieving and looking forward and accepting. But you can see the other warriors that they're going at different stages in the process. I want to help them through that. Because I couldn't do it without other people that were willing to help me. We're looking forward to do it further. Maybe one day I can compete with the guys and gals. If not, I'm gonna have a bow. Doesn't matter if I'm using a mouth tab. I can sit in the woods by myself, and it should be fantastic.
Airmen at McEntire Joint National Guard Base had a special visitor recently. Declan Alexander got hands-on experience around the facility and a chance to be a pilot for the day, all of which culminated into a memory of a lifetime. Air Force Tech Sergeant Casey Watson takes us along on this special visit.
The Pilot for a Day program is something that McEntire does with kids who have disabilities or some kind of a terminal disease. And we bring them out and just let them be a pilot for a day, and we just show them around and make them feel like they're really part of the squadron.
This year has been really important for, doing fun things for him while we still can and creating lasting memories. And it just, there really aren't words to express, how much of a big deal this is for him and for us, and just making the most of it for him.
We brought Declan Alexander and his dad out, just showed him around the squadron, got to let him see some of the different things that we do on a day-to-day basis. We took him to the aircrew flight equipment shop, gave him a tour of the squadron. We took him out to the flight line, let him see the landings of the first go, which was awesome. Brought him back. We had a static display set up with his name on the side of the jet. Let him get up in the seat and take some pictures. And then we had the fire department come out, pick him up in a fire truck, which he really lit up with. Took him over to the fire department, gave him a really nice tour.
He has had a ton of fun. It is sometimes hard to tell on his face, but he is taking it all in, and just even the smiles that we've been getting are a perfect example of how much he's enjoying it.
It really helps us as a squadron, as a wing, to reach out to the community and really make those community bonds. and then just make a difference in somebody's life. This has been one of the most fulfilling things that I've done so far. Just being able to touch a young man's life, that's faced so much adversity, and I think it was really good to be able to reach out to that family, could kind of take their mind off of things for a little while and just let them do something out of their norm. And I thought it was really awesome that that family let me be a part of that young man's life.
Can you tell which of these children was not born free? Can you tell which of these children was not born equal? Can you tell which of these children does not deserve to be treated with dignity? We can't either. Human right number one. We are all born free and equal. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
From our windward to the leeward side.
I want to acknowledge some prominent guests that we have here today, starting off with Admiral Zukampf and his wife, Fran Denita Zukampf, the Commandant. Our Commandant is here in an unofficial capacity, so to speak, accompanying Ms. Denita Zukampf, who is our Ombudsman at Large, the Coast Guard's Ombudsman at Large. So, thank you so much for coming and honoring us with your presence here as we honor our ombudsmen. We also have Rear Admiral Smith and Vicki Smith. Admiral Smith, of course, is in command of JIATF West, and Vicki will be speaking later on tonight in the program. And then, of course, our own very own Tamara Streeter, who's she's done a wonderful job putting this program together, and it's an example of the great job she does day in and day out running our Ombudsman program. She's one of the key reasons we have such a strong program throughout the entire Pacific area, but because before she served here, She served over in Alameda and helped us all out up and down the West Coast, and now out here in Honolulu. So it's wonderful to have you here, Tamara, to put this great program together. And then most of all, thanks to our unit ombudsman for the jobs you do, the volunteer work that you do day in and day out, and it's a privilege to be able to recognize you here tonight.
Vicky and I wanted to thank Fran for being the ombudsman at large, and then for Tamara for being the ombudsman, in this area. So just gratitude.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Want to recognize Tamara, and many of you don't realize that she will be leaving us soon, so we wanted to take this time actually to acknowledge that fact and that we appreciate all that you're doing. Michelle?
All right, so with that, we will start with this program.
Oh, thank you.
I have nothing better to discuss.
Well, I'm sorry that I'm over in the corner.